Thank you all for being here. Obviously, we're enjoying the lovely weather on a great August day here in Illinois. Very pleased to be here today to talk to you about the Community Foundation, working with the Next 10 project with Springfield. And at the end of the day, I think what's important is that we all look at and realize what we have here in the state of Illinois, right here in the middle of the state, in the Springfield Fairgrounds. It's an economic gem. It is an economic engine for not just the Midwest, but our entire state. At the end of the day, we know that the fair itself is about an $84 million annual economic impact on Springfield and the surrounding region. But it's also important for us to think about and realize all of the other events that occur on this fairgrounds. Numerous events, literally every weekend, and the tens of millions of dollars that brings in economic impact. So I'm really pleased to be here today with Governor Pritzker and Mr. Stromsper to talk about that. We thank you for being here, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you the governor of the great state of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker.
Well, thank you very much, Director. It is a beautiful day here today, about 30 degrees cooler than it was yesterday, which is always nice, and appreciate everybody joining us. There are so many people that make our state fairs great. The Department of Agriculture Director Jerry Costello and his hard-working team, our Springfield State Fair Manager Kevin Gordon, and his DuQuoin counterpart Josh Gross. The State Fair Advisory Board, not to mention all of the incredible competition, the competitors, the performers, the entertainment, the chefs, the visitors who make these fairgrounds so lively as they are and will be over the next 10 days. Today we honor the legacy of paving an even better path forward for these fairgrounds for generations to come. That's our intention. That's what our State Fair Advisory Board is tasked with. And I'm very proud to announce that the Community Foundation for the Land of Lincoln, which has aptly demonstrated its commitment to our capital city, has joined hands with the Department of Agriculture to develop a master plan for year-round use of these fairgrounds. Year-round use. Think about that. Think about how we can improve not just the economic livelihood and activity for the Springfield region, but for the entire state by using these fairgrounds even more vigorously. These grounds see hundreds of thousands of people come through just for our state fair. And they've seen countless more for the COVID-19 testing and vaccination sites that the Sangamon County Department of Public Health and the Illinois National Guard have launched to save lives during this pandemic. But in a normal year, on a normal day, odds are these grounds are empty. Think about what it would mean for Greater Springfield to be home to just as much joy and celebration throughout the year as it is in the month of August. Well, the Community Foundation for the Land of Lincoln has a plan to do just that. As a part of their Next 10 campaign, the team envisions the fairgrounds as a year-round center of social and economic activity for the city and for the region. Region, and the state of Illinois stands in support of the Springfield community in its efforts to expand what these fairgrounds can become. Now, I want to thank all of you again for joining us, and with that, again, I want to introduce somebody who has provided great leadership and whose organization truly is helping to transform the fairgrounds as well as the entire Springfield area, and that's John Stromsper. John?
Thank you, Governor Pritzker. Thank you, Director Costello. As was said, my name is John Stromsper. I'm the president of the Community Foundation for the Land of Lincoln, headquartered here in Springfield. So, back in the middle of a pandemic last year, the Community Foundation decided to go forward with a project we had been conceiving for quite some time that ultimately became called the Next 10. It was an effort to ask our community, the greater Springfield area citizens, what do you love about this community and what do you want to see made better? It's no surprise to me that people in the Springfield region really love the state fairgrounds and want to see it more active year-round. Full disclosure, I grew up about a block away, actually parked at my mother's house and walked to this meeting today. I think there's a lot of people like myself that have such fond memories of the fairgrounds and want to see it a better place and more active year-round. So this Next 10 project, here's our report right here, had ideas of all kinds for a better community, but I think one of the centerpieces of the whole entire plan was this further activation of the state fairgrounds. We have wonderful events throughout the course of the year, but as the governor just said, I think we want more of it, and we want to see it year-round, and also improve the grounds itself. It's such a great asset for the people of the state of Illinois. I think we all want to be proud of everything that in the state, but especially the property that we're all responsible for as citizens. And I think nothing exemplifies that more than the state fairgrounds. So the idea was to have a comprehensive plan to really get our arms around, I think for the first time, correct, Director? That we have a comprehensive plan for the land use and also the programmatic uses of the state fair. That was the concept, and in talking with Director Costello's office and the governor's office, they seemed wholehearted in their willingness to take this on with the people of Springfield area and the state of Illinois. So that's what we're here to talk about today. I want to say thanks again to the governor and the director for their willingness to participate. And with that, I'll invite the governor back to the podium.
Thanks, John. Happy to take questions from the members of the media, the two of you who got up early enough to join us, and thank you for doing that. Peter?
Can you tell us a little more about what's in the master plan, in what ways is it going to be used?
So there's work still being done, but I want to ask John to come up and talk about that work.
We have no idea just yet because we haven't started it. So this is really to talk about what we're looking to do. I know Director Costello has been involved with some people on a national level with a national association that might find experts in the field of fairgrounds and kind of land use people, urban planning type folks that can look at a big piece of property and do better with it. But also the programmatic inputs I think we want to get from the citizens of this area and the whole state for what they want to see in the plan. So a lot more to come on this, but this is an exciting day for me to talk about. This is the first step down the road to make this beautiful resource here even better.
And we just come from, if I may say, inside the meeting of the State Fairgrounds Advisory Board, and we're going to be working hard with John and others to help to devise, what are the best uses. We're also working on, of course, the DuQuoin State Fair and its fairgrounds.
What about infrastructure, though? There was a great flurry a number of years ago with the State Fair Foundation to find money to repair buildings. Some of that has been done, but there hasn't been a new building on the fairgrounds since the multi-purpose building was built, or the arena. There's not even a roof on it anymore. The fairgrounds needs billions of dollars, Governor, to probably make it so you can use it all year round. Buildings with HVAC and everything else. Is it possible?
Well, let me talk about first the fact that our Rebuild Illinois Capital Plan allows us to do some of that upgrade and maintenance of existing buildings. So that's very important. As you are saying, there are other buildings and other land uses that can be made for these fairgrounds. And again, that's a part of a plan. You don't want that to be done willy-nilly, not as part of a master plan. So this master plan is going to allow us to plan so that 10 years from now, when you bring children, grandchildren, friends, to the fairgrounds, and I say 10 years because I think it will probably be fully realized by then, but over the next 10 years, you're going to see significant upgrades and changes that I think will allow not just the state fair to be even greater than it is, but again, to bring people to this area all year round.
Is the governor ready to step in and kickstart the State Fair Foundation fundraising again? I mean, it maybe everything took a breather during COVID, but there hasn't been a real big announcement of that in a while.
I'm always willing, as you know, to support great causes, and I did, as you know, early on in my administration, and even before that. I believe in the state fairgrounds, and I believe in our state fairs, and so, at least on a personal basis, of course, I'll be supportive. Peter. Sure.
The detailed census numbers came out yesterday. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. Are you still comfortable with the legislative maps that you signed?
Well, let me just say, when you say the detailed numbers have come out, they are out, but many people across the country were downloading all of that information so that they can use it to evaluate it. That's also true for the state of Illinois. I saw some cursory analysis, at least in the first few hours, that seemed to indicate that the districts, at least on the legislature in Illinois, may have been drawn within the parameters that have been accepted in previous years. But it is going to be up to the legislature whether they want to make a change to the map.
And what do you think about the growing diversity of the state's population?
Well, I'm excited. Look, this is the greatest state in the United States, and I've always reminded people that we're the most demographically mirrored to the entire United States. If you look at our diversity, it has typically been reflective of the rest of the U.S. And so when I see that those numbers, continue to remain reflective of that, I'm reminded that this is a state that was the first state to ratify the 13th Amendment ending slavery, the first state to ratify the 19th Amendment allowing women the right to vote. It is a state that produced the greatest president in our history, Abraham Lincoln, and one of the great presidents in our history, Barack Obama. And so when I think about the diversity and the increasing diversity of our state, I think there's no greater state for people to live in, to work in, than the state of Illinois.
We have time for one more. Governor, in the renewable or the energy plan, the bill that's being talked about right now, the grain belt transmission line is in there. Farm groups, rural folks are upset about that because it names a private entity that essentially gives kind of quasi-public status to the grain belt line to have public intimate domain overrunning those power lines over farmers' private ground. Should that be allowed in that bill? Should the grain belt line be able to come in and basically stake out power lines where otherwise a public utility would have that right to? People are nervous about what's going to happen to their farm fields, and they might not have a say about that.
Well, certainly, these are considerations that were part of the working groups that have been at work for almost a year and a quarter now to put that energy bill together. I think all of that has been taken into consideration with the bill that's been put forward. I know that there are efforts to try to, make adjustments to the bill that's on the table. But our common goal here is to make sure that we have enough energy that we're providing for the state of Illinois so that no one will ever worry about when they flip that light switch whether the lights are going to go on. And we want to make sure that we're producing energy that isn't fossil fuel dependent. And so those are the broad goals of this. Obviously, there are different interest groups and different concerns that people have expressed over time. That's one of them. Will the legislature, make some adjustment there? That's possible, but it's not something that I've heard much about in recent days.
Thank you.
Thank you.